The stars gleamed like scattered diamonds against the void as the massive circular chamber hummed with activity. Hundreds of alien beings from across the galaxy sat in rising tiers, each delegation at their designated platform. At the center of the Galactic Council chamber, a holographic display showed a small blue-green planet. High Counselor Zextar stepped forward, his tall, slender frame covered in iridescent scales that caught the light as he moved. His four eyes narrowed as he gestured toward the image. "Esteemed colleagues," he began, his translator converting his hissing language into the standard galactic tongue, "I bring troubling news from the outer sectors. The species from this world, these humans, have progressed far beyond our predicted development curve." Murmurs spread through the chamber as various council members leaned forward to better view the rotating image of Earth. "Our monitoring stations have detected their first attempts at faster-than-light travel," Zexatar continued. "Worse, they have developed energy-based weapon systems and have begun to decode our communication protocols." A bulbous green-skinned counselor rose from the Meraxian delegation. "How is this possible? Their world was classified as technology level 3 only 50 cycles ago." Zextar's upper lip curled in what passed for a smile among his kind. "The humans are unusual in their development pattern. They lack the methodical approach of most spacefaring races. Instead, they make erratic leaps in technology, driven by competition among their various nation-states." From his small observation booth at the edge of the chamber, Peter Sawyer felt his heart rate increase. As Earth's only representative permitted to observe council proceedings, he had no voting power and could speak only when directly addressed. The tall, broad-shouldered man with sandy hair and weathered features kept his face carefully neutral as he listened, but his mind raced. "The danger is clear," Zextar continued. "If left unchecked, humans will achieve full interstellar capability within 10 cycles. Their warlike history suggests they will not join our community peacefully. They must be contained before they become a genuine threat." A holographic display showed intercepted images of Earth's primitive space stations, early FTL prototypes, and military installations. The images were carefully selected to emphasize the aggressive nature of human development. The Arcturian delegate, a being composed of what appeared to be living crystal, chimed in with a musical voice. "What action does the Varaxian Empire suggest?" Zextar's four eyes blinked in sequence. "The Council has 3 options: immediate diplomatic contact and enforced technological restrictions, blockade and containment, or preemptive military action to reduce their capabilities." Peter couldn't remain silent any longer. He pressed the Request to Speak button on his console, surprising many council members who had forgotten the human observer was present. The Grand Speaker, a floating cloud of luminescent gas contained within a transparent shell, drifted toward the center. "The Council recognizes Observer Sawyer of Earth." Peter stood, straightening his blue diplomatic uniform. "Honored council members, I must urge caution. My people are indeed developing quickly, but our intentions are peaceful. We seek to join the galactic community, not challenge it." Zexatar made a dismissive gesture with one of his forearms. "The observer's bias is noted but irrelevant. Primitive species always claim peaceful intentions. History proves otherwise." "Please," Peter continued, "if you send warships to Earth, my people will see it as an act of aggression. We will defend ourselves." A rumble of laughter echoed through the chamber. The Dravak delegate, a massive reptilian being, leaned forward. "With what? Your chemical rockets and silicon computers?" More laughter followed. The Grand Speaker's shell pulsed with light. "We will now vote on the appropriate response to the Earth situation." Peter watched in growing dread as the voting proceeded. The outcome was never really in doubt. One by one, the 12 major species and 17 minor races cast their votes. The final tally appeared in glowing script above the central platform. Decision: immediate technological containment with authorized military enforcement. Blockade fleet to depart within 1 standard cycle. Vote: unanimous. Peter felt a cold weight settle in his stomach. The council had just voted to invade his home. As the session ended, Peter hurried back to his small quarters aboard the massive station. His status as an observer was about to become meaningless. He needed to warn Earth. He activated his secure terminal, using the emergency protocols that bypass the Council's monitoring systems. A risk, but necessary. He encoded a message directly to Naval Command on Earth, specifically to Admiral Grace Coleman, the one person with both the authority and understanding to properly prepare Earth. Council has voted. Invasion fleet departing within 24 hours. Overwhelming force. Prepare defenses. This is not a drill. He hesitated, then added, "Tell my family I love them." As he sent the message, his door slid open. 2 Varaxian security officers stood in the corridor, their body armor gleaming under the lights. "Observer Sawyer, you are detained for unauthorized communications. Please come with us." Peter nodded calmly, having expected this. Of course, just following diplomatic protocols. As they led him away, he felt oddly at peace. His warning was sent. Earth would not be caught completely by surprise. Across the void, in the newly constructed Luna shipyards orbiting Earth's moon, Admiral Grace Coleman stood in the observation deck, watching the testing of humanity's first military-grade FTL vessel. At 55, with steel-gray hair cut in a practical bob and eyes that had seen more conflicts than she cared to remember, Coleman had dedicated her life to defending Earth. The experimental ship, USS Defiant, performed a short FTL jump from Earth orbit to the moon in less than a second. The test was successful, bringing a rare smile to Coleman's face. Her aide approached with a concerned expression. "Admiral, we've received an encrypted message from Observer Sawyer at the Galactic Council, Priority Alpha." Coleman's smile vanished as she read the message. She immediately reached for the secure line to the White House. President Elliot Ramirez was in the middle of a cabinet meeting when the call came through. The tall, distinguished man with salt and pepper hair excused himself to take Admiral Coleman's call in the secure room adjacent to the Oval Office. "Mr. President," Coleman said without preamble, "the Galactic Council has voted to send a fleet to Earth. Their intention is to force us to dismantle our advanced technology. They're prepared to use military force if we resist." A moment of silence followed. Then President Ramirez spoke with quiet determination. "How long do we have?" "Less than 24 hours until they depart. Perhaps a week before they arrive, depending on their FTL capabilities." The president's jaw tightened. "Implement Defense Protocol Omega. I'll address the United Nations within the hour." As Coleman acknowledged the order, Ramirez stared out the window at the clear blue sky above Washington. Soon that sky would hold the ships of an alien armada. "They think we're just primitives playing with technology we don't understand," he murmured. "They're about to learn how dangerous a primitive species can be when backed into a corner." In the vast darkness of space aboard the Varaxian flagship, Admiral Krax reviewed the invasion plans with his subordinates. The massive, four-armed warrior looked at the holographic display of Earth's solar system with contempt. "A simple operation," he declared to his officers. "We will arrive, demonstrate our power, and these humans will submit. They always do." His second-in-command nodded in agreement. The primitives have no idea what's coming. Neither did the Galactic Council. The space near Saturn rippled as over 200 alien ships tore through the fabric of space-time. The Galactic Council fleet emerged in perfect formation, their hulls gleaming under the distant sun. At the center of the armada, the massive Varaxian flagship Inevitable Dominion dwarfed all other vessels. Lieutenant Ryan Fuller sat at the controls of his patrol craft near one of Saturn's moons. The small Earth vessel was running on minimal power to avoid detection. His 2 wingmen maintained similar positions nearby. All 3 pilots watched their sensor displays with growing dread as more and more enemy ships appeared. "Control, this is Saturn Patrol," Fuller whispered into his comm, though there was no reason to lower his voice in space. "We have visual confirmation of a massive alien fleet. I count over 200 vessels of various sizes." The response from Earth Defense Command came immediately. "Confirmed, Lieutenant. Retreat to fallback position and continue observation from safe distance." Fuller, glanced at the readouts. The alien vessels were beginning to spread out, some heading toward the inner planets. His orders were clear: retreat and report. But the opportunity to gather intelligence was too valuable. Control, requesting permission to conduct close reconnaissance pass. We need to know what we're dealing with. A long pause followed. Permission granted, extreme caution advised, no engagement. Fuller signaled his wingmen, and the 3 Earth fighters accelerated toward the alien fleet. Their experimental stealth systems active. Their goal was simple: get close enough to scan the alien vessels without being detected. As they approached, Fuller got his first good look at the council ships. They were unlike anything humans had built. Some were smooth and crystalline. Others appeared to be made of interlocking geometric shapes that shifted constantly. The technology gap was obvious and alarming. Focus scans on their weapon systems and shield emitters. Fuller instructed his team as they glided silently between 2 massive cruisers. Suddenly, alarms blared in Fuller's cockpit. One of the alien vessels had locked sensors onto them. "We've been spotted. Evasive maneuvers," Fuller shouted, pushing his fighter into a tight spiral away from the fleet. Energy beams lanced out from the nearest alien ship, narrowly missing Fuller's craft. His wingmen scattered in different directions according to their escape protocols. Fuller pushed his engines beyond safe limits, using Saturn's rings for cover as he fled. His sensor officer, Jenkins, continued recording data even as they escaped. "Did we get what we needed?" Fuller asked as they raced away from the pursuing alien craft. Jenkins nodded tensely. "Their weapons are energy-based, multiple types. Shields appear to use some kind of quantum field technology. And sir, they're fast, but our new engines might actually have an edge in acceleration." Fuller allowed himself a small smile as they finally outran their pursuers. "Let's make sure Earth gets this data." On Earth, the situation was reaching a critical point. The United Nations Security Council had been in emergency session for 12 hours straight since receiving Admiral Coleman's warning. For once, old enemies stood together as President Ramirez addressed the assembled world leaders. "The threat we face is beyond any human conflict," Ramirez said, his voice steady despite the pressure. "I am formally requesting the formation of a United Earth Defense Force, combining all our military assets under a single command structure." The Chinese president stood first. "China stands with humanity. Our fleet is at the disposal of the unified command." One by one, other nations followed suit. Russia, India, the European Federation, Brazil, Japan, traditional allies and former adversaries alike pledged their forces to Earth's defense. Within hours, Admiral Coleman found herself in command of the largest human fleet ever assembled. 53 vessels ranging from the experimental FTL-capable warships to hastily armed civilian craft. Not nearly enough against 200 alien ships, but it was all humanity had. In orbit around Earth, Secretary General Alicia Dominguez of the United Nations prepared to make one final attempt at peace. Her team had worked tirelessly to craft a message that might appeal to the alien fleet. "Transmit on all frequencies," she instructed her communications officer. The message was simple. "To the approaching fleet, we are the united people of Earth. We seek dialogue and peaceful resolution. Please respond." On the bridge of the inevitable Dominion, Admiral Krax received the transmission with amusement. The massive Varaxian turned to his communications officer. "Send them the Council's terms," he ordered. "Immediate dismantling of all faster-than-light technology, surrender of all energy weapons, and acceptance of a permanent Council observation post on their planet." When the aliens' response reached Earth, President Ramirez read it with a grim expression. The terms were not just demanding technological regression, they would effectively end humanity's independence and future in space. He looked up at the assembled military and civilian leaders in the underground command center beneath Washington. "It seems diplomacy has failed. Are we ready?" Admiral Coleman nodded. "As ready as we can be, Mr. President. The fleet is in position. Ground defenses are at maximum readiness. First contact protocols have been replaced with defensive posture alpha." President Ramirez took a deep breath and straightened his shoulders. "Then it's time I address our people. Across the planet, television and internet broadcasts were interrupted as the president's face appeared on screens everywhere. People in homes, offices, and public spaces fell silent as he began to speak. Mesdames, fellow citizens of Earth, I speak to you at a moment unlike any in human history. Today, we face an extraterrestrial force that seeks to limit our growth and potential among the stars. They have demanded our surrender and compliance. They expect us to give up our future without a fight. He paused, his expression resolute. They are mistaken. Humanity will not bow to tyranny among the stars any more than we have on Earth. We stand united, we stand defiant, and we stand ready. As the president spoke, the alien fleet moved past Mars, approaching Earth's orbital defense. Admiral Krax watched the small human fleet with disdain. They actually intend to fight, he remarked to his second-in-command. Primitive species never learn. The first shot of the war came not from Earth, but from a nervous Zellarian captain commanding one of the smaller council vessels. Detecting what he believed to be a weapons platform, he fired without authorization, destroying an unarmed Earth communications satellite. The effect was immediate. Earth's defensive grid activated, locking weapons on the approaching alien ships. Admiral Coleman, watching from her command ship, gave the order she had hoped to avoid. All vessels, defensive protocols engaged. You are authorized to fire when enemy ships cross the lunar perimeter. As the Galactic Council fleet approached Earth's moon, humanity's first true interstellar war began. Energy beams and projectiles crossed the void between the opposing forces. The first casualties were reported within minutes, as 3 human vessels were destroyed by concentrated alien fire, but the aliens did not escape unscathed. Using the data from Fuller's reconnaissance mission, Earth forces targeted weak points in the Council ship's defenses. 2 alien vessels erupted in silent explosions, surprising the Varaxian commanders who had expected no effective resistance. Admiral Krax's 4 eyes narrowed as he watched the battle unfold. These humans were fighting with unexpected skill and coordination. The battle for Earth's solar system would not be the simple subjugation he had anticipated. The war had begun, and despite overwhelming odds, humanity had drawn first blood. Smoke filled the corridors of the Denver underground complex as Dr. Olivia Martinez rushed between workstations. The tall woman with dark hair pulled back in a tight bun, barked orders to her team of scientists as they analyzed alien technology salvaged from a downed scout ship. Focus on their shield systems, she instructed, pointing to a strange crystalline device on the examination table. There's something unusual about how they modulate energy. The first 24 hours of the conflict had been devastating for Earth's forces. 17 of their 53 ships had been destroyed with minimal damage inflicted on the Council fleet, but humans were nothing if not adaptable. Dr. Martinez suddenly stopped, staring at the readings on her tablet. That can't be right, she muttered, running the analysis again. Her eyes widened. Everyone, I need verification on these shield frequency patterns. As her team hurried to confirm her findings, a different kind of battle was unfolding halfway around the world. Colonel Jason Everett crouched behind a fallen tree, blood trickling from a cut above his eye. His phantom team of 12 Special Forces soldiers had spent the last 6 hours stalking a Tulaxian scout ship that had landed in the forests of Oregon. Now they were ready to move. Remember, non-lethal takedown if possible, Everett whispered to his team. We need their ship intact and at least 1 alien alive for questioning. Sergeant Kelly nodded, adjusting the settings on her experimental stun weapon. Ready on your mark, sir. The aliens had established a perimeter around their craft, clearly not expecting significant resistance from what they considered primitive locals. 4 Tulaxians, tall, multi-limbed beings with elongated skulls, patrolled the area with energy weapons. Everett gave the signal, and his team moved with practiced precision. Stun weapons fired, taking down 3 of the aliens before they could react. The 4th managed to trigger an alarm before Kelly tackled it to the ground, applying a sedative patch to its exposed neck. Ship secured, Lieutenant Morris reported over the comm. No additional hostiles inside. Everett nodded with satisfaction. Package the prisoners for transport to Denver. I want this ship operational as soon as possible. While Everett's team worked to understand alien technology from the inside, ordinary citizens across Earth were finding their own ways to resist. In Chicago, construction worker Sam Donovan watched from his hiding place as alien infantry moved through the partially evacuated downtown area. The stocky man with calloused hands gripped his radio tightly. "They're approaching the Michigan Avenue checkpoint," he whispered to his fellow construction workers spread throughout the area. "Everyone ready?" Affirmative responses came back from 24 men and women, not soldiers, just ordinary workers who knew how to operate heavy equipment. As the alien patrol reached the designated point, Donovan gave the signal. "Now!" Concrete mixers roared to life, pouring quick-setting material onto the street behind the aliens. Construction cranes swung massive loads of steel and concrete across their escape route. From nearby buildings, other workers activated industrial electromagnets disrupting the aliens' equipment. The confused alien troops found themselves trapped in a rapidly hardening concrete pit, their advanced weapons useless against the simplicity of the attack. Donovan grinned as police and military units moved in to capture the incapacitated invaders. "Sometimes old school works best," he remarked to a fellow worker. Similar scenes played out across the globe. In rural Montana, hunting guide Kate Mitchell led a group of locals who used their knowledge of the terrain to ambush alien scout teams. In Tokyo, subway workers flooded tunnels to trap alien units that had tried to use the underground network to bypass defenses. Back at the Denver complex, Dr. Martinez burst into the command center, where Admiral Coleman was reviewing the latest battle reports. "Admiral, we found something," Martinez said, excitement clear in her voice. "The Council ship's shields have a critical vulnerability to our nuclear-based weapons." Coleman looked up sharply. "Explain." "They abandoned nuclear technology centuries ago, considering it primitive and unstable. Their quantum field shields are designed to deflect energy weapons similar to their own, but our crude nuclear explosions create disruptions in their shield harmonics." For the first time since the invasion began, Coleman smiled. "So our primitive weapons might be our greatest advantage?" "Exactly," Martinez nodded. "We need to modify our nuclear missiles to maximize the disruptive effect on their shields. Then, follow up immediately with conventional weapons while they're vulnerable." As they discussed the new strategy, a transmission came through from Colonel Everett. His face appeared on the main screen, the interior of the alien scout ship visible. Behind him, "Admiral, we've got their ship operational. My team has figured out the basics of their navigation and weapon systems. We're ready for orders." Coleman's mind raced with possibilities. "Colonel, how confident are you that you can fly that thing convincingly, if challenged by other Council ships?" Everett's expression was grim but determined. "Confident enough, Admiral? We've got one of the aliens cooperating with us. Seems not all of them agree with this invasion." This news surprised Coleman. "An alien defector?" "Yes, ma'am. A Tulaxian named Nexival. Says he's part of a minority faction that opposed attacking Earth. He's been teaching us their protocols and language." Coleman exchanged looks with Dr. Martinez, then turned back to the screen. "Colonel, I'm sending you coordinates and a mission plan. We're going to use your captured ship as part of our first major counteroffensive." Across the solar system, Admiral Krax was growing increasingly frustrated. What should have been a simple operation was becoming a drawn-out conflict. The humans fought with unpredictable tactics, adapting quickly to Council technology. "They destroyed 4 more of our ships in the Mars orbit engagement," his second-in-command reported. "They're using their own satellites as weapons, and their ground forces have captured several of our landing parties." Krax slammed his fist down on the command console. "Impossible. They're primitives with barely functional space technology." "Perhaps we underestimated them, Admiral," the second-in-command suggested cautiously. Krax's 4 eyes narrowed dangerously. "No, we simply need to demonstrate our true power." He turned to his tactical officer. "Prepare the fleet for a divided assault. We will attack all major Earth cities simultaneously. They cannot defend everywhere at once." As orders went out to the Council fleet, the massive formation began to separate into smaller battle groups, each targeting different regions of Earth. On The command ship of Earth's defense fleet, Admiral Coleman watched the alien fleet's movement with careful attention. When she saw them dividing their forces, she immediately recognized the opportunity it presented. "They're making their first major tactical error," she said to her senior officers. "Prepare to execute Operation Hornet's Nest. Target each separated. Group individually before they can support each other." Throughout the Earth fleet, captains and crews prepared for their first coordinated counterattack. On the captured Talaxian ship, Colonel Everett and his team checked their weapons one final time. In laboratories around the world, scientists worked feverishly to implement Dr. Martinez's shield disruption technology. In cities and rural areas, civilian resistance groups readied themselves for the coming battles. The tide was about to turn in humanity's favor. The Council's mistake of underestimating Earth was about to become painfully clear. Commander Dwayne Johnson stood on the bridge of the Earth vessel Defiance, watching the lunar surface grow larger on the view screen. Around his ship, a mixed fleet of 20 vessels, some military, some hastily armed civilian craft, moved into attack formation. Their target, the Council battle group that had established a base on the far side of the moon. "All ships report ready, Commander," his communications officer said. Johnson nodded, his dark eyes focused on the tactical display. "Begin Operation Hornet's Nest. Phase 1. Across Earth's solar system, similar scenes played out as humanity launched simultaneous attacks against the separated Council battle groups. Admiral Coleman had divided Earth's remaining forces into strike teams, each targeting a different segment of the divided alien fleet. The Battle of Luna began with an unexpected move. Rather than attacking the alien ships directly, Earth vessels launched what appeared to be debris, chunks of metal and rock that the alien sensors largely ignored. Hidden within this debris were EMP devices developed using Dr. Martinez's research. Detonation. In 3, 2, 1, Johnson's tactical officer counted down. Across the lunar battlefield, dozens of electromagnetic pulse devices activated simultaneously. The Council ships, their shields calibrated for energy weapons, experienced momentary disruptions in their navigation systems. "Phase 2. Now," Johnson ordered. Earth's ships launched modified nuclear missiles, timed to hit the alien vessels precisely. When their shields recalibrated to defend against the EMP attack, the missiles didn't need to penetrate the ship's hulls. They just needed to create the specific radiation pattern that Dr. Martinez had discovered would disrupt their quantum shield harmonics. Brilliant flashes illuminated the lunar landscape as the missiles detonated near the alien ships. For 3 critical seconds, their shields fluctuated wildly. "All ships, Phase 3. Johnson's voice remained steady despite the adrenaline coursing through him. Earth's vessels fired everything they had: railguns, lasers, conventional missiles, all targeted at the now vulnerable alien ships. 4 Council vessels erupted in flames before they could recover. 3 more suffered critical damage to their propulsion systems. The Council commanders, caught off guard by the coordinated attack, struggled to regroup. Their battle doctrine, designed for fighting known enemies with predictable tactics, failed against humanity's unconventional approach. As the Luna battle raged, a different kind of victory was unfolding aboard the Council flagship. Peter Sawyer, imprisoned since sending his warning to Earth, received an unexpected visitor. The door to his cell slid open, revealing a slender, blue-skinned Arcturian guard. "Observer Sawyer," the alien said quietly. "I am Sub-Counselor Neelix. There are those among us who disagree with this invasion. Will you help us end this conflict?" Sawyer stood cautiously. "How?" "Our faction has grown as reports of human resistance spread. Many Council species now question the wisdom of this attack." Neelix handed Sawyer a small device. "This contains access codes to Council communication networks. Your people can use it to broadcast evidence of the Council's unprovoked aggression." Sawyer looked at the alien with newfound hope. "You're risking everything." Neelix's crystalline eyes shimmered. "As are your people. This war serves no one. We must stop it before more lives are lost." With Neelix's help, Sawyer escaped the detention area and made contact with a human resistance cell operating on a captured Council communication relay. His message, along with the access codes, was transmitted to Earth's command center. Meanwhile, the civilian resistance continued to grow in effectiveness. In Kansas, farmer Joe Williams led a group that used agricultural equipment to disrupt alien ground operations. They modified crop dusters to spread chemicals that interfered with alien sensor equipment, allowing military units to ambush the confused invaders. In the digital realm, former NSA analyst Michelle Garcia coordinated a global network of hackers who infiltrated council systems. Using knowledge gained from captured technology, they created viruses that caused critical malfunctions in alien targeting arrays. They relied too heavily on their automated systems, Garcia explained to military leaders during a secure video conference. They never expected to face an enemy who could hack their technology. On the front lines, Admiral Coleman received the unexpected transmission from Peter Sawyer. She immediately recognized the strategic value of the Council communication codes. "This changes everything," she told her staff. "If we can broadcast directly to all Council worlds, we can show them the truth about this invasion." Her tactical officer looked skeptical. "Do you think it will matter?" "They voted unanimously to attack us." Coleman's expression hardened. "They voted based on lies and fear. Let's see what happens when their populations learn the truth." As Earth forces prepared their next move, Admiral Krax faced growing problems. Reports of defeats came from multiple battle groups. The planetary assault that should have subdued Earth within days had stretched into weeks with mounting casualties. "How are these primitives defeating our most advanced weapons?" he demanded, his frustration evident to his increasingly nervous staff. His intelligence officer hesitated before speaking. "Admiral, we've detected unusual patterns in our fleet's shield harmonics during Earth attacks. They seem to have identified a weakness in our defensive systems." Krax's four eyes widened in disbelief. "Impossible. Our technology is centuries beyond theirs." "Nevertheless," the officer continued, "their nuclear-based weapons create disruptions that our shields were never designed to counter. Our ships abandoned such primitive technology generations ago." As Krax absorbed this disturbing news, another report arrived. "Admiral, we've lost contact with 3 more battle groups near their planet Mars. Earth forces are deploying some kind of captured council vessel to approach our ships before attacking." Krax slammed all 4 of his fists on the command console. "Enough. Recall all battle groups. We will consolidate our forces and launch a decisive strike at their leadership. Target their capital city, Washington." His second-in-command looked alarmed. "Admiral, that would violate Council protocols on civilian casualties." "I don't care about protocols," Krax shouted. "This ends now. Prepare my flagship and elite guard for direct orbital assault." As the inevitable Dominion and its escort vessels broke formation and headed toward Earth, Admiral Coleman recognized the critical moment had arrived. "Krax is making his final move," she told President Ramirez during their emergency communication. "He's coming for Washington." Ramirez's face showed no fear on the screen. "Then we'll be ready for him. Implement the final phase of Operation Hornet's Nest." Coleman nodded grimly. "Already underway, Mr. President. Colonel Everett's team is in position with their captured ship. Dr. Martinez has deployed her ground-based shield disruptors, and we're prepared to broadcast Sawyer's evidence to all Council worlds the moment Krax commits his forces." As the inevitable Dominion entered Earth orbit, the planet's remaining defenses moved into position for humanity's most daring gambit yet. The final battle for Earth was about to begin. The massive inevitable Dominion descended toward Washington, D.C., its shadow falling over the city like an artificial eclipse. Smaller Council vessels flanked it in protective formation. From the ground, the flagship appeared as large as a small town, its alien architecture both beautiful and terrifying. President Ramirez stood on the White House lawn surrounded by his security team, watching the alien ship approach. He had refused evacuation despite his advisors' pleas. "The people need to see their leadership standing firm," he had told them. Now he stood tall, his silver-streaked hair ruffled by the wind as he faced humanity's greatest threat. In orbit, Admiral Coleman directed Earth's remaining fleet to engage, the escort vessels drawing them away from the flagship. Her strategy was not to destroy the inevitable Dominion. That was beyond their capabilities. but to isolate it for the next phase of their plan. Colonel Everett, you're clear to proceed, she transmitted from her command ship. Inside the captured Tulaxian vessel, Everett and his Phantom team approached the massive flagship. Their ship broadcast Council identification codes provided by their Tulaxian ally, Nexaval. Flagship Inevitable Dominion. This is Council scout vessel requesting emergency docking, Everett said in the Varaxian language Nexaval had taught him. We have critical battle information for Admiral Krax. After a tense pause, the response came. Scout vessel identified. Proceed to docking bay 7. Everett exchanged determined looks with his team. Remember, our mission is to reach the engine, control center, and upload Dr. Martinez's virus, not to engage in extended combat. Speed is critical. The small scout ship slipped into the massive docking bay of the flagship. As soon as they docked, Everett's team moved out, wearing captured Council armor over their human combat gear. On Earth, Dr. Martinez supervised the activation of hundreds of improvised ground-based energy projectors. Civilians, military personnel, and scientists had worked together to build these devices using salvaged alien technology and Earth components. Each projector is too weak to damage their shields, Martinez explained to the technicians around her. But together, they'll create an interference pattern that will disrupt the flagship's shield harmonics at precisely the right frequency. Citizens across Washington participated in the defense. From rooftops and windows, they aimed the makeshift devices skyward. Each person knew their role in the planet's defense. Aboard the Inevitable Dominion, Admiral Krax prepared to deliver his ultimatum to Earth. He stood on the command deck, 4 arms clasped behind his back, watching the human city below. Begin targeting sequence, he ordered. Prepare to demonstrate our power. His weapons officer moved to comply, but suddenly alarms blared throughout the ship. Admiral, we're detecting multiple low-level energy emissions from the surface. They appear to be targeting our shield harmonics. Krax dismissed the concern. Primitive attempts to breach our defenses. Proceed with the attack. Before the weapons could fire, more alarms sounded. Internal security breach. Intruders detected near engineering. Krax's eyes widened in rage. How is this possible? Dispatch security teams immediately. In the engine control center, Everett and his team fought through elite council guards. 3 of his soldiers had fallen, but they had nearly reached their objective. Cover me, Everett shouted as he sprinted toward the main control console, a small data device in his hand containing Dr. Martinez's virus. His remaining team members laid down suppressing fire as Everett reached the console. Following the instructions he had memorized, he found the access port and inserted the device. Upload initiated, he reported into his comm. 60 seconds to completion. Outside the ship, Admiral Coleman received the transmission. All ships, commence final attack pattern. Ground teams, activate all projectors now. From Earth's surface, hundreds of energy beams shot upward, converging on the flagship's shields. From orbit, Earth's remaining vessels fired their weapons in a coordinated assault. None of these attacks could penetrate the flagship's defenses individually, but they weren't meant to. Their purpose was to force the ship's shields to actively respond, making them vulnerable to the virus Everett was uploading. On the command deck, Krax watched in confusion as his tactical displays showed shield fluctuations. What is happening? Stabilize our defenses. Sir, something is infiltrating our control systems, his technology officer reported, panic in his voice. Our shields are locked in a phased state, neither fully active nor fully disabled. At that moment, the doors to the command deck slid open. Security officers rushed in, dragging a captured human. Everett had been taken, but not before completing his mission. Admiral, we found this human attempting to sabotage our engines, the security chief reported. Krax stormed toward the bloodied but defiant Everett. You, what have you done to my ship? Everett looked up at the towering alien, his expression calm despite his injuries. We never wanted this war. We still don't. But we will never surrender our right to determine our own destiny. Before Krax could respond, the main communication screen activated unexpectedly. Peter Sawyer's face appeared. broadcasting not just to the flagship but to every council world and colony simultaneously. People of the Galactic Council, Sawyer began. I am Peter Sawyer of Earth. Your leaders told you they were liberating a dangerous primitive world. They lied. The broadcast showed compiled footage of the unprovoked council attack, alongside documentation of humanity's repeated attempts at peaceful resolution. It showed civilian casualties and council ships firing on unarmed populations. Throughout Council, space, billions of beings watched in growing horror as the truth unfolded before them. On the command deck, Crack stared at the screen in stunned silence. His second-in-command approached cautiously. Admiral, we're receiving communications from the High Council. They're ordering us to stand down immediately. The Council had convened an emergency session. For the first time in its 10,000-year history, a military decree had been reversed. The invasion force was ordered to withdraw. 3 days later, in the same grand chamber where the invasion had been ordered, a new session began. This time, Earth had an official representative, not merely an observer. Peter Sawyer stood tall as he addressed the assembled species. The conflict between Earth and the Council has shown us all an important truth, he said. True advancement isn't measured by technological superiority, but by wisdom, compassion, and the willingness to recognize the rights of others. The Reformed Council voted to grant Earth full membership status. A new era of cooperation began. And Earth celebrations erupted worldwide. President Ramirez and Admiral Coleman stood at a ceremony honoring those who had fallen defending the planet. Today marks not just the end of a conflict, but the beginning of humanity's place among the stars, Ramirez said to the assembled crowd. We faced extinction and responded not just with courage, but with ingenuity and determination. Admiral Coleman nodded in agreement. The Council's final mistake was believing technology alone determines a species' worth. They learned what we've always known, that the human spirit is our greatest strength. In the crowd, Dr. Martinez, Colonel Everett, Commander Johnson, and countless others who had contributed to Earth's defense stood proud. Ordinary citizens like Sam Donovan, Kate Mitchell, Joe Williams, and Michelle Garcia stood alongside military personnel, all equally important in the victory. Among them, to many people's surprise, stood Admiral Cracks. Stripped of rank and seeking asylum on Earth, he had chosen to stay and learn from the species he had once dismissed as primitive. I misjudged your people, he told President Ramirez. I hope to spend my remaining years helping build a true partnership between our worlds. As humanity looked to the stars, they did so not as conquerors or subjects but as equals, ready to take their rightful place in the galactic community.